Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and thanks for watching as we prepare for worship and events this Sunday, September 1st at Rejoice Lutheran Church. So I don't know about anybody else, but when I was growing up, one of the prayers that my parents would teach me to say before mealtime was, "Come Lord Jesus, be our guest, and let these gifts to us be blessed." But what would we actually do if Jesus showed up at our table? Maybe let's think about, well, what happens when people have somebody important show up? I remember when I was in college, I had an opportunity. At that point, George H.W. Bush was president. He was going to eventually place his library at Texas A&M, where I attended at that point. And so he was coming for a college visit, and being part of the band, we were part of the whole ceremony that was a part of his visits. And there was all the security, all the things, and certain people got to go up and be close to him, and many other people, like me, we weren't that important. We were much further away. And yet Jesus seems to do things very differently. He talks about, instead of seeking the highest place, going and seeking the lowest place, and instead of inviting the most important people to surround you and share your food and share your time, people who are going to pay you back in kind, to invite those who can't pay you back, to invite those who have the needs. And I really believe Jesus wants to create a place where we all are welcome, where we all have a place, where we all have value, where we all have meaning. But I think that's hard for us in a society that models something so much different to even imagine, much less live into. And yet I think Jesus calls us back again and again and again to try to be this kind of community, a place where people are welcome not for what they can bring, but because they're valuable, because they are a person made in God's image. They're valuable because they're a person who Christ values. And so we're going to talk about this. We're going to try and model some of this. We're going to see the way our worship helps us to see that in our lives and in our worship and in our practices. And again, we're going to continue to talk about, how does our faith impact our life? So we started last week having this faithful conversation where between services we're going to take some difficult issues, complex issues. And the one we're talking about right now being immigration. We talked last week about some of the benefits and some of the fears and some of the things that we need to know to be able to have this conversation. But we're going to continue the conversation today. We're going to say, well, what does our faith say about this? We're going to talk about, well, can we imagine a world? What would it take to address some of the concerns? Who do we need to have at the table to have some of these conversations? Who, do we need to have, for example, people who are hiring? Do we need to have people who are working law enforcement? Do we need to have people who work in medical or schools? Or how do we wisely try to use the values of our faith to encounter our society around us? How do we put our faith into life, and how do we imagine a world that has the values of our faith? These are challenging conversations, but they're also really interesting. And I was really thrilled with the way things went on last week, and I look forward to this weekend. So again, I thank you for watching. I thank you for being a part of things. We'd love to see you at Rejoice. We worship in the morning at 8:30 with our traditional service. At 9:45 we have our faithful conversations where we're talking about these issues. And then at 11 o'clock we have our celebration service. We'd love to see you at any of them, and I appreciate your watching this, and I hope you have a blessed week.